Are you ready? It is time for serious talk with a sense of humor. It is time for KMB Talk. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of KMB Talk. Wow, we are lucky today. Matt Acker, owner of the Port Angeles Lefties. Thanks for joining us, Matt.
Appreciate you having me.
Right on, right on. So, snow day. Another snow day here in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, it happens sometimes, and we all freak out and get stuck, and then it'll eventually melt, and we'll deal with a bunch of water. Right.
Matt, are you still coming on the show? Well, you need to come get me. I have a car stuck in the driveway.
Yes, that was quite the adventure.
Quite the adventure altogether. Well, Matt, so happy for you to be here with us. So let's just start. You appear to be, I'm pretty ignorant when it comes to baseball, but to me, you appear to be rather young to be an owner. Is that true? Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, I think that as a majority owner, I'm the youngest owner in the West Coast League.
Youngest owner in the West Coast League. Give us a little background. How do you become an owner of a baseball team? What path does one take?
That's an interesting question. I think that there is no one path.
Okay,
it's different for everybody. The end result, though, is it's a way to invest into a community and start business into a community, and it's a really great way to rally a community. And there's so many positive reasons why to do it, but how to get there really is, I think, unique. I don't think there is one specific way. I really doubt that there's ever been, outside of it being passed down, a team being passed down to somebody.
Okay.
Any professional sporting franchise, I don't really think that anybody's ever gotten there in the same way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about how Matt Acker got there.
Well, I was the youngest. I was the youngest college head coach in baseball in the country for a number of years.
Youngest college baseball head coach in the country.
Yeah, I was 25 years old, and which is awful young to be a college head coach. Right. So I had this opportunity. I moved up the ladder quick and became a head coach, and I spent 10 years there and won a lot of games, and the winningest coach in the school history, and it was a great experience for me. But I had that opportunity after that to move on and up, and I looked at some of the places that I'd have to go to be able to come back to be a Division I head coach, and it really wasn't something with a young family that I wanted to do. As some of my friends were moving up the ladder, and good friends at Northridge now and UC Santa Barbara, which are the same age. They were spending just massive time away from their families or not having a family because of it. Right. And that's when I decided, I'm going to start looking at some other things. How can I stay in the game of baseball but dictate my own schedule and not make barely any money like you do at the lower levels of baseball. Right. And I had started a business, and the business, as the business grew, I started to develop some teams and kept my eye in the West Coast League, and one of the teams became available. I swooped up and basically jumped in the deep end and bought it. So, baseball team. Mm-hmm. Let's say I'm out in the world and I come up with an idea to begin a business, whatever it may be. There are always barriers to overcome, whether it's regulatory or city approval. Again, not one to assume, but I'm assuming not anyone can own a baseball team. No. Actually, the opportunities are very scarce and rare. Okay. And to get into the group it can be very difficult to do. And that's before you even look at market viability and support for the community and working with city entities and all that kind of stuff. I paid attention when I coached in the West Coast League while I was also a college coach. Okay. And working with the city of Lacey with my business down there that I was also doing. And actually had to step back from being a college head coach and worked at St. Martin's University and went backwards. And then I worked at a high school for 2 years. Coaching at a high school, I was running my business. Was my way to cut my teeth. And luckily, the city of Lacey is such a progressive parks department. Okay. It's a profitable parks department. And what they do is they land bank when they're making money, and they own a tremendous amount of land, and they have unbelievable parks in the city of Lacey. And so I got to learn under a gal named Lori Flem. And she's been successful in the city of Kent, Lacey, and actually came from St. Louis. and she's no longer with us, but she taught me a tremendous amount, and I spent a lot of time on the City of Lacey Parks Board. So being a constant student, I really got to see what was going on there. So I learned a lot about it as I moved.
So did this team originate in Lacey?
No.
Okay.
The team I bought was formerly the Kitsap Blue Jackets.
Okay.
And my business was running in Lacey. The
Okay.
business I had done to transition out of being a college head coach.
So you acquire a team, an existing team.
Correct.
How old was the team at that point?
11 years.
11 years.
12 years, yeah.
So then Matt Acker comes in, buys it.
Yes.
Let's move it.
Yeah, I was there for 2 years in Bremerton.
Okay.
In 15 and 16. And those were, I gave it a good go in 15, but I knew the likelihood of moving the team right from buying the team. But I knew that was not going to be something that was knee-jerk. I needed to research and figure out where to go and find the right fit. And so, it was that first, you give it a great go in town. But
right.
I had coached there before, so I kind of had understood. Its proximity to the Mariners and the Rainiers puts it in a really difficult spot.
Gotcha.
And so you could spend a tremendous amount of money to bring people to the park, but your cost a lot more money to do that. So your risk was higher, and your reward was actually basically not much.
Okay.
And so it doesn't make a lot of sense to do.
When you're looking to relocate a baseball team, I'm sure we could spend hours talking about everything that you're looking at. Give us a few of the areas that you're really reviewing when you're looking at communities.
Well, first of all, people have to remember that baseball is the only legal monopoly in the United States. 1922, Congress voted and basically made baseball a legal monopoly.
Really?
So we own the land. When you own a team, you have certain abilities that it's your land.
Okay.
It's your land. That's our land is our land. And so basically I own 60 miles from home plate in Kitsap.
Okay.
And in Bremerton. So Silverdale. So I could look within that area, or I could look at a non-taken market.
Okay.
And so those were my options. So you have to, first of all, know where you can look and you can't look. So you have to look within the footprint of the West Coast League, which is Washington, Oregon, and BC.
Okay. And
then you have to find markets that are viable there, or obviously you want to look within your own market.
Okay. So West Coast League, I did some research, 13 years old, 12 teams, almost 400,000 annual attendance. I think the southernmost team I saw was Bend.
Correct.
And the northernmost was at British Columbia? Kelowna.
Yeah. BC.
And then this would put you as the westernmost team.
Correct.
And
Cowlitz.
Okay. Close, though.
Yes, very close.
And then easternmost, Walla Walla?
Walla Walla.
Okay.
Yep.
That's a pretty big footprint you get to look within.
It is, but thinking of viable markets within that footprint is...
So what are you looking for? I mean, demographics?
Demographics, proximity to other entertainment. For example, in Bremerton, when the Mariners played, you'd lose 200 fans. If you had 600 fans at an average game there, and you lose 200.
Because they're getting on the ferry at Bremerton?
Yep, and dropped off downtown in Seattle.
Walk to the stadium.
Yep.
They're going to the Mariners.
Yep, and the Rainiers are playing. There's another 200.
Right.
And so which would be low, 600 is really low for attendance. It's really low, and you lose 200 to the M's and 200 to the Rainiers, and you're playing in front of 200 people.
Interesting. So West Coast League, something else I learned. Let's talk about the West Coast League. Summer League.
Yes.
College eligible.
Correct.
Student athletes.
Yes.
As a baseball player, why am I participating in the West Coast League? Am I already a collegiate player? Maybe, maybe not.
No, you are.
I am.
Oh,
okay. Yeah. So I have to be a collegiate player.
Major university.
Major university. So what's the incentive for me to come? Just to heighten the awareness of my name, my brand for prospects to the pro? Refine skills?
Well, you're asking a question that could go on forever.
Okay.
20 years ago, baseball, the Major League Baseball, it's about 25 years now, allowed international players to go into the lower levels of minor league baseball. Minor league baseball people think is single A, double A, triple A, major leagues. But there's developmental league, rookie league, short season A, high A, then you go double A, triple A, major league. So there's actually 6 levels of minor league baseball.
Okay.
And when they let international players go into the lower levels of minor league baseball, what happened is the college summer leagues started to fill up because they weren't drafting as many American players. If you think about it from a business perspective, $100,000 is going to get you one American player, and it's going to get you 6 or 5 players from the Dominican.
Okay.
Which is good for the Dominican players,
right?
And it's actually good for the American players that are going to get their education, because before they were getting these kids out for $10,000, out of Forks, and the kid, he goes in minor league baseball for 5 years, and he doesn't even make minimum wage.
Okay.
Which Congress is not protecting those guys.
You can't have it both ways, right?
They don't. Yeah, they didn't make any money, and they couldn't get, and then they have no education, and what are they doing? And the thing that they love the most, basically, just cut them. And
right.
So we no longer want you to play. So it's a positive for them too. And really, what's been really neat in like the Dominican is that those players now are making sure that money that they're getting is getting back and helping the education process. The best education system in the Dominican right now is Major League Baseball's education system.
That is incredible.
Yeah, it's impressive. And one of the guys that's really a lot behind is John Stanton, who owns the Mariners, and actually owns 2 teams in our league.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about that owner table.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've got some big names at that table, really big names.
Yeah, impressive people.
Wow. I mean, I'd love to tap in and just download some of the dialogues you guys and gals have had when the meetings are over and it's time for cocktails. I'm sure they get pretty interesting.
Yeah. Right now, the synergy in the room is really impressive. I learn a lot when I go into those meetings. There's some really impressive people. Jose Oglesby, I just feel smarter when I'm around him. He's one of the Microsoft folks, one of their inventors, and just as I've been on a couple committees with him, and he makes me want to be smarter. He's an impressive person, sees the world in a different way. Some of those connections have been really outstanding, and it's really a neat group right now to be working with.
It's interesting is out in the business landscape. You take a network like LinkedIn or any of these journals, trade publications, a lot of emphasis is being put upon when it comes to personal development, listening skills.
Mm-hmm.
I have to imagine going into these meetings, your listening skills are on point.
Well, yeah, and as a matter of fact, sometimes I get hard on myself because, if you miss something.
Right.
There's some pretty impressive things going on there.
Wow.
And I just try to soak it in as much as I can and know what I bring to the table.
Right.
And keep my mouth shut. I actually got to talk to Bob Avesi. His family's the one that moved the Brooklyn Dodgers to Los Angeles. Great. I mean, they have such a history in the game of baseball, and we were talking about potential presidents for our league at one time, and he gave me some advice. He said, you come from a coaching background, so you're a little bit more like Al Davis. Not saying you are Al Davis. He goes, but you may know what's supposed to go on in operations and on the field and this and that and other. He's like, but you need to be extremely careful when you open your mouth in that room, because you may know that and you may come off with that attitude.
Right.
But the reality is they don't know that, and you're could be a jerk to them and
through no fault of your own, the perception of Matt Acker diminishes.
Right. He's like, so you need to be extremely careful on what battles you fight and how you go about it and how you relay that information to the group. It was great advice.
That's great advice. Absolutely great advice. So West Coast League, I thought it was so intriguing to me, dedicated to accelerating prospect development. Okay. Seems pretty straightforward. Almost immediately, one of the primary bullet points that followed was bettering member communities, bettering the community of which these teams are located.
Yep.
Holy moly. I love it. I love it. I talk so often about what are the responsibilities that an organization has to the community that it serves. And taking a look around at some of the things that the Port Angeles Lefties are doing, I mean, let me see if I've got this United Way slide. Let's take a look here. Yep. Community Coins, a league-wide coin drive competition benefiting local United Ways. I don't care where you're at in the United States. When it's time for United Way campaign, those signs are going out.
Absolutely.
What a great organization that does tremendous things for the local population. And here you guys are using your banner, right? Your presence to help drive even more visibility to that campaign.
Well, that's what it's about, and what we do is and that's one thing that is the common point. We may get there from different routes, but the reality is, if you want to own a sports team, that's your job, is to better a community, to be a glue, to bind a bookstore and a bike shop.
Bookstore and a bike shop.
You can bind those two on something that they both have in common, maybe literacy for kids. There is something, and
right.
That's my job, is to go figure that out. Or you hire someone that goes and figures that out,
right.
because you want to invest in the communities. This, for example, honestly, really neat is that the United Way in town took one of my interns, Haley Pierce, and she's excellent, and she really does a great job. And she's the one that came up with the idea and pushed this, and so she was with me for 2 weeks, and they hired her at a Chamber of Commerce after hours after 2 weeks of her being with me, but she's been great. And it's neat to have somebody that was with us for some time, and they ended up taking Travis, another one of my interns too, not too long after.
Oh, wow.
But it's neat to have them come and help, and there's a good energy between the two of us. We come up with ideas and that whole group, and we got to put this into place, and Christy and Haley and Travis pushed the other communities to be involved too, and did a great job.
So you're wanting to better your career. You're a younger person, and you're wanting to advance your career. Come be an intern for Matt Acker,
mm-hmm.
and you're going to get swooped up within a few weeks.
Not every time.
Not every time.
But I have a lot of success in moving, helping to move these interns on to high levels. I have former interns in NFL, in soccer, baseball, basketball.
Man,
NHL.
That's excellent. You mentioned the kids, and again, out doing research, there was something that caught my eye. Let me see if we can pull this up real quick. Yeah, create a Port Angeles Lefties jersey. Here's what I love about this. I've spent enough time traveling and dealing with. I'm a parent and young children, and you end up interacting with a lot of other parents. Not all kids are sports kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever. What I love about this is, I know so many kids that don't know anything about sports, but they love art. Oh, they love art.
Mm-hmm.
You give them this opportunity, it's their opportunity. They're going to take it seriously, clear their schedule, focus on a jersey. And what are you guys doing? You're actually saying, create this jersey. We're going to wear it. We're going to make, this isn't just a drawing contest and then we take them and get rid of them. We choose one. We create. You invest the money into this jersey.
Right. Oh. Yeah, it was an excellent one, and really I sat down with Aero Marine. Aero Marine is a company in town that goes out and fixes boats while they're in the harbor. Big ships. Great family.
Okay.
All the families working there. Just they're really good people, and I just sat down with them and said, "What's important to you?" And this is my favorite part of the job. Really, the connection with community is what's important to you, and we kind of went through the whole deal, and they really said the Boys and Girls Club is what kept coming up.
Right.
So I had to think of something that was creative to get Aero Marine, which is a marine big ship.
Big ship.
Yeah.
Big ships.
Big ship. They work on those, and the Boys and Girls. How can I tie the two together? And I'm like, well, this is how we'll incorporate the Boys and Girls Club logo and Aero Marine onto this jersey, And then at the end of it, we had the players, we obviously wash them and autograph each one of the jerseys. And I gave them to Aero, and then Aero gave them to the Boys and Girls Club to auction off.
Innovation, community.
And now all the money goes to the Boys and Girls Club for the rebuild, and that's what it's for.
Bookstores and bike shops.
Yep.
Putting parties together that otherwise would not be together.
Correct.
It's fantastic. One that I really enjoyed seeing, and I reasonably assume this got a lot of press locally, but I felt it was appropriate to bring on the show. Port Angeles Lefties, you're traveling. I'm looking at a slide, and it says, baseball team pulls someone from a burning car. Wow.
Yeah.
You have a new fan.
Oh, yeah. And she's from Kelowna, too.
And she's from Kelowna, too.
No, it was our head coach was in a vehicle in front of the bus a little bit with some of the players, and they saw the gal go off the road. They saw it smoking. They pulled over. They went out, and the car was really the flames were starting to come through, and they all jumped down there, and the boys did a great job. I do know that they didn't give a lot of credit to our head coach. He was the one that went into the front and pulled her out. The guys went and got her stuff out, and then basically, she needed to get back to Kelowna, so it was,
get on the bus.
Yeah, they just put her on. Having been a former coach and traveled the country and been on those buses, I've been part of teams numerous times that have done that, whether I've been a coach or even as a player.
Oh my goodness!
And I'm not just saying it's anything to do with me.
Right.
It actually is a sport group specific thing.
Well, it's life on the road.
It is. It's life on the road, so you're spending quite a bit of time on the road, first of all. But you also have a coordinated group with a communication system that's their own.
Okay.
And that also makes a difference too.
Okay.
Kind of like not that they're trained like a fire department, but
right.
A fire department has, police officers have, with the SWAT team, and they work together in a group. A team has its own communication, whether it's a girls' basketball team or a baseball team or a hockey team. They have their own communication system, and you're honestly held at a higher standard when you're utilizing. And you're held at a higher standard anyways if you're going to be an athlete.
Right. That's true. You should be. Yep. You're a role model.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
So I think that's one of the reasons why you've seen quite a few teams be in that situation and do what they're supposed to do.
Save the day.
That's what they're supposed to do.
That's what they're supposed to do. Okay. So, leadership, baseball team owner, something that you said to me in the pre-interview really stood out. And I probably won't repeat it verbatim, but I'll get close enough to set the stage for the dialogue. You said that you felt that your primary role as the leader of a baseball team was culture.
As a coach, anything in a sports organization, but in any business for that matter, that's what it's about is making sure you have the right chemistry.
Right.
The WA.
The WA.
That's the most important thing. Is if you don't have the right chemistry, everybody's rowing and one person's off, it's going to take you in a different direction.
I've probably been that one person at some point at some organization that was trying to go somewhere a little different, and I think there's merit to that. A recent article that I love banking. Oh, I love banking. And I think it was a financial brand. It was one of these major publications. They were saying one of the most difficult challenges that banks are going to have are hiring people to actually disrupt themselves. Oh man, not easy. But to your point, you don't want that type of disruption. You need this cohesive wall, all in the same step, the same stride, the same thoughts. If I understand it correctly, you would rather turn someone away with a particular skill set and protect the culture than to allow that one to be the disruptor.
Well, yes and no. I mean, it's kind of the instep is the calmness of a duck above water, but you also want the paddling like heck underneath, right?
Right.
So to create the disruption, which is still important because if you become stagnant, you aren't going anywhere, is the competition within, and that's already built in with anything that we're doing. Obviously, the players are competing, but even the interns and the workers that I have, this is not a place to be stagnant. You are not going to stay in that position for 2, 3, 4 years at the max. I mean, if you're not moving on, then you're moving out.
Okay.
And that's the competition that you create within. And then I expect them to be able to help each other up as they go up to the ladder, whatever direction they want to go. That connection, that network that they have as they move forward is really what's going to help make them successful. I have a couple companies actually that come and recruit former players, interns. Like they'll take them because they like the competitiveness that and it's not just me; it's from other places too. But I'm one of the ones that they call to come and hire them. But Commencement Bay Brokerage in Tacoma, I call Nick up, and it's a very successful group. He wants him. I know the right fit for him.
Right. And
so I said, this person fits your mold, whether it's an intern or player.
So I'm a player. I get a chance to, if I'm a player joining the league, do I get to choose what team? Do I get to say I'd rather be?
It's a different show. No. We don't really talk to the players.
Okay.
And that is a concern of mine as a coach and a person that basically played in this league before it was the West Coast League. It was called the Pacific International League, and it was semi-pro, a little different animal than it is today. But you call UCLA, and you talk to their coach, and their coach says, here's the players that we'll send you. There's not us talking to Joey on the team.
Okay.
Right? And maybe a year later, when the kid is a little bit older, he may go and request, hey, I'd like to go back to Port Angeles. But coach could look at him and say, we're going to send you to the Cape Cod League.
So this player gets pulled into Matt Acker's team, does a season.
Yep.
Does he get to return the following year, or is it?
Some do, some don't. And you're not draft. If you're at a 4-year college, you're not draft eligible until you're 21 or in your junior year.
21. Okay, 21 or junior year.
And here's the tricky part. Or if you went to junior college, you're draft eligible each year.
Okay.
So that's why junior college baseball is actually a high level of baseball, whereas in basketball, there's some really good players, don't get me wrong, but they couldn't beat a Division I team. They'd get destroyed. It's apples and oranges. Whereas when I was a junior college head coach, before the RPI ratings and the NCAA changed it, we used to go play the Huskies in Oregon State. We used to go play the same teams because I would have a kid that went to junior college that wants to be draft eligible. They could pitch against them, and it's going to be a close game.
So you have a freshman at a junior college eligible for a draft that another student has to be junior or 21 at a traditional 4-year university.
Correct.
So if I'm a up-and-coming baseball player, if I understand this correctly, there's almost a better opportunity for me to go to a junior college and get
it's honestly a business decision. The size of the scholarship. So you have an opportunity. You're going to go into some marine biology at Oregon State University.
Right.
I don't know if they offer it there. If you're going to go do that, and the scholarship is a 75% scholarship, and tuition is X over the span of 3 years or 4 years, that scholarship is worth $400,000. A pro team comes to you and offers your son $200,000, and you decide, no, he's going to go to college. But it's close. It's close. So maybe the kid and the family decide, let's go to a junior college for a year and, talk to Oregon State about possibly coming there as a sophomore.
Okay.
But take a chance to see if we can get closer to $400,000 after his freshman year at a junior college.
Very interesting.
But what happens is Oregon State goes, we won lots of national championships. Let you go to that junior college and they go find another kid just like you. I would honestly say, I had to take the scholarship.
Take the scholarship. So I came here from Texas, and I know nothing about baseball, except that my son played it, and I knew just enough to be a good baseball parent. But let's be honest, there were some parents and some families that were incredibly into it. I mean, that kid, that's what they wanted to do. Parents were all in, just like any other thing that a kid can choose to get into, and the parents really get into it. The select teams and et cetera. Advice. What advice do you give right now to a junior in high school who's 1 year away from facing the decision of junior college versus traditional college versus what advice are you giving them?
You're a year too late or two.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're probably going to have to go to junior college.
Freshman in high school.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start here.
Yeah, no, that's I get that question often.
At what point in that person's career does a Matt Acker have advice to give? Is it a freshman in high school, or is it even before then these days?
I think that for any young kid is to stay active, to play as many sports as you possibly can.
Okay.
To when you become passionate about it, and I've seen kids become passionate, and this is where I differ from some people say that multiple sport athletes is the best. I love that. I do. I also understand concentrating.
Single discipline.
I do. I understand that too, and I see the benefit in that. And my kids living in the city, my boys would not be playing 3 sports in a city.
Okay.
They would not. They'd be 2 sport athletes. They play football. They play baseball. They wouldn't play hoops. They can't jump. I wasn't good at hoops either, but they love hoops, and I'm glad they can.
Right.
And that's an advantage. But I think that it's very adjustable case by case. When somebody knows that there's something that they love and they want to put the blinders on and really concentrate and dive into that single discipline, I've seen some people know that when they're 11 years old, 10 years old.
Wow.
I've seen some phenomenal musicians, because I grew up in a musical family too.
Okay.
At a young age that really dive into something, and that's really an impressive deal. But I think until you do know, the more you're exposed to, the better.
That's outstanding. Outstanding. Thank you for the advice. Hopefully someone gets to take that and shape it and really make it their own. So, in closing, young baseball team owner, obviously youngest head coach for quite some time. So the Matt Acker story seems to be very unique in and on its own. But then here we are now, and what I see is an owner who's very focused upon the culture of their organization, very focused upon giving and interacting with the community that they serve, putting folks together that otherwise would not be together. To your point, bike shops and bookstores, right? Two very different things altogether. Matt, I just cannot say thank you enough for coming on this show.
Well, I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Before we cut, let me think of one more question. We're doing this live. I don't have one prepared, but life advice. Seems that your story is so unique, and everyone's is unique, granted, but yours seems to be so unique. How old are your children?
14 and 9.
14 and 9.
Yeah.
What advice do you give to someone else's 14 and 9-year-old right now, not on baseball, on life?
Well, some big keywords that we talk in my house is be worried about the approach, not the result. The approach and how you go about things and how you act and how you carry yourself. Specifically with my boys, I talk to them about humility and being kind.
Emotional intelligence.
You need to know when to stop and ask somebody. We've had the discussion quite often about being nice and kind, and I go, nice a lot of times is not sincere. And I'm very kind. I will stop and help somebody that I know that needs help. But I'm not going to go out of my way to there's times where you need to go out of your way to interact with somebody.
Right.
It needs to be sincere. There's a difference between the two.
Right.
So that's a big one with us that we talk about quite a bit, and the boys seem to respond to it.
So what I think is very interesting to me is that here we are in a very much results-oriented society.
Mm-hmm.
Business. Okay, anything, but from my perspective, being so passionate about business, I mean, I get the opportunity to consult and interact with a lot of leaders, and it's results. And here is Matt Acker saying, if I'm giving advice to someone coming up, I'm saying, put the results over here. Focus on your approach.
Your process.
On how.
I have a great analogy that does tie in that I do see, because I do get to see some insight of a lot of various different businesses.
Right.
And the ones that I do see successful, their approach, their process is unbelievable. It's solid. It's changing. It's adapting. It's becoming better all the time. It doesn't mean that it's stagnant. You can't be stagnant, but that's what they're worried about. And the result pays. You can tell how strong a business is when you go see that.
So Matt Acker is saying, you focus on the approach, results will follow.
Absolutely. And the analogy with baseball is that when I tell a kid, you went 0 for 3 today, but you squared the ball up 3 times. That's a great day. The result is what it is. And yesterday you had 3 bloopers, Texas leaguers, and your approach wasn't good.
I'm from Texas. What's a Texas leaguer?
It's a little blooper. It goes over like the second baseman or first baseman's head. Yes. It has lots of different names.
Okay.
But a Texas leaguer just bloop over somebody's
Texas
head.
leaguer.
But when a kid is celebrating the 3 for 3, it's a good indication to me that you don't get it.
Right.
You don't understand when a kid is down because he went 0 for 3, but his approach was great. He doesn't get it. And your job as a coach is to, like my dad was a teacher. Most of my parents are teachers. It's to inflate or deflate the balloon.
Okay.
And so when the kid needs to, his head is big. He went 3 for 3 with 3 Texas leaguers. You need to bring him down a little bit. And when it's deflated because he went 0 for 3, you need to level it back out. And then you can get to the learning process and move forward.
So coaching is air pump in one hand, straight pen in the other.
When it comes to that stuff too, but the root of it always comes down to your approach.
Okay.
It's all about the approach, because if you concentrate on the result, it's a house of cards.
Wow. Matt, we really appreciate you coming on the show today. Just wonderful advice. Thank you so much for taking some time. And when does your season kick off?
End of May, but we have a lot of events and stuff that'll start in the
building
up
to it.
Yeah.
Third year. This will be our third year.
This
will be your third year. Well, I wish you the absolute best of luck. Look forward to following your results.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to KMB Talk. You don't have to click home, but you can't stay here.